Hello everybody and welcome to another reaction video. And today we're going to revisit Blue October. Now when I listened to Blue October for the first time, I can't remember what track it was, I was somewhat underwhelmed by the performance. Because I didn't say I didn't like the song so much, I just thought that the mixing of it didn't seem right, because his voice didn't seem to come through as strongly as the rest of the music in the track. And I was inundated with people saying, you know, Blue October are a fantastic band, you need to give them another chance, you need to listen to X, Y, Z. And the most commonly stated one was a track called Fear, which is the one I'm going to react to today. Now, I was told specifically to react to a live version. Now I found a couple of live versions. There was one that was about 20 minutes long, and that had a long random thing. There was a long spoken intro at the beginning of it, which, as I understand, outlined the name of the theme of the track. But obviously, that's too long to include in one of these videos. But I've got a live track to listen to check out, and I did a little bit of research for the track, as I normally do. And it says the lyrics on Blue October's 7th album Sway were penned by frontman Justin Furstenfeld in an upbeat frame of mind after conquering a crippling alcohol addiction, which is, as I understand, what he talks about at the beginning of the longer video that I found. This song, Fear, is about the main thing he learned once he got sober. Furstenfeld explained that, excuse me, the reason I did used to drink was because of fear. The reason I kept myself from being happy is I was scared of the outcome. In the last year and a half, I've learned there's no room for fear. When I hear this specific song, it wraps up the last 17 years of my life. I've found what I've been looking for. So, you know, it's a deeply personal song, and I've reacted to songs before that had deeply personal messages to the artists in particular, and I like that they, you know, they take that step and produce these tracks, because it's a very difficult thing to talk about, and alcoholism is a very hard one to talk about, along with drug addiction. And you know, he says he kept himself from being happy because he was scared of the outcome, and I think at some point most people can probably relate to that, because it's like it's almost comparative to, like, you know, if in the past you've had bad relationships, you're scared of getting into another relationship because you're scared you're going to get hurt again, that sort of thing. So yes, I'll be interested to see what this track's like. And I've been told that with Blue October you don't just hear the song, you feel the song. And when I first listened to Blue October, I think the track was Dirt Room. I didn't manage to find out too much information about the track, and I think I tried to dissect the lyrics, and I'm not sure I did a very accurate job about it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't, because I'm pretty sure a few people actually told me the actual meaning behind it, but, you know, I was going through, like, guesswork and what I was reading from the lyrics. So at least this way I've got a bit of a setup to the track in my mind, so I know what I'm reading and reacting to. But I've got the lyrics up here. I'll put a link to the video in the description below, and I'm interested to see what this track is like. So we'll just get straight onto it. So yes, Fear by Blue October.
All my life, been running from the pain in me, feeling I don't understand, but it's holding me down. So rain on me, underwater, all I am, getting harder, a heavy weight, and I carry her around. Today, I don't have to fall apart now, and I don't have to be afraid, and I don't have to let the damage consume me, or my shadow see through me, 'cause fear and itself can reel you in and spit you out over and over again. Believe in yourself and you will walk. And now fear and itself will use you up, and it breaks you down like you were never enough. Yeah, I used to fall, but now I get back up.
Immediately beautiful. In this track, and more so than Dirt Room, you can really hear his voice really well. I don't know what it was about the Dirt Room track, but there was just something about his voice that didn't seem to really come through. But this track, beautiful already. And the lyrics themselves, all my life been running from a pain in me, a feeling I don't understand, holding me down. So it's like it took him a while to realise that the reason he was drinking was fear. You know, there was a feeling in him that he didn't understand, and it made him uncomfortable, depressed, or what have you. So he took to drinking to make the feeling go away, because he didn't know what he was dealing with. But sooner or later, he's come to the realisation of what it was. And then all I am, getting harder, a heavy weight I carry round. So whilst he thinks that the drinking is helping him, all it's really doing is making matters worse. I mean, alcohol itself is a depressant, and if you're already feeling depressed, drinking more, whilst temporarily it might make you feel better, and at the end of the day it just makes it worse. So you end up getting more depressed, and it ends up weighing down on you. And then he goes into a pre-chorus saying, "Today I don't have to fall apart, I don't have to be afraid, I don't have to let the damage consume me, my shadows see through me." So it's like he's talking about, now that I've overcome this, now that I've stopped drinking, I've become a stronger person, I don't have to crumble under the weight of my crippling depression, my alcohol dependency. I don't have to be scared of what's ahead. You know, I'm going to face the world head on, and I'm going to take whatever comes. I don't have to let the damage consume me. It's like, you know, I don't have to let previous failures affect what the future might hold. And then goes into the chorus, "Fear in itself will reel you in and spit you out over and over again. Believe in yourself and you will walk. Fear in itself will use you up, break you down like you were never enough. I used to fall, now I get back up." So it's basically, he's saying, like, fear is a debilitating emotion. You know, once you let the fear take over you, you just give in, you know. And once you're scared of one thing and you carry on, you will continue in that cycle of being terrified of what might happen. And he says there, "Believe in yourself and you will walk." It's like, rather than being scared of what might happen, be positive, you know, like think, no, this time it's going to go right, and, you know, be positive and you will succeed. And fear in itself will use you up and break you down like you were never enough. You know, all too often people with like depression and stuff like that, they always think, you know, the world will be better off without them, or friends and family are better off without them. They just sort of drag the family down. Well, that's not true. It's just the way you feel, though, and it's very hard for you to tell yourself that that's not true. And when he's gone there, I used to fall, now I get back. He's like, I've conquered this, I'm not going to let this bother me, I'm moving forward. So it's a pretty deep song and a beautiful song. The moment he started singing, all of the hairs on my arms just stood on end. Phenomenal. Let's carry on.
I'm up here, I'm looking at the way down there. I'm staring through the I don't care, and it's staring back at me. With a beauty in its hair, I'm learning how to face my beast. I'm starting now to find some peace and set myself free. Yeah. 'Cause you see, today I don't have to fall apart. I don't have to be afraid, and I don't have to let the damage consume me. I might shadow see through me, 'cause fear in itself can reel you in and spit you out and over again. Believe in yourself and you will walk. And now fear in itself that she'll use you up, and it breaks you down like you are now. Listen, I used to fall, but now I get back up. Who's up? I'm moving on. Oh God, just move on. You.
This is a very, very beautiful song, and it's a shame that the first track I heard by them, his voice didn't really come across as it is now, because his voice here is phenomenal. He's got a beautiful tone to his voice. It reminds me of someone else, and I can't quite place who it is, but yeah, I mean, I've always said I will never let just one track of any band paint my overall opinion. I need to have multiple sources, you know, because if you judge a band just by one track, then, you know, you may have picked like the worst track they've ever made, and you're not giving a chance to the actual brilliant tracks that they've had. Like, for example, when I first checked out Flyleaf, the first track of theirs I ever heard, I wasn't really that fond of. I didn't think it was particularly great, but since then I've listened to other tracks and I've grown to quite enjoy it. You know, so you can't judge a band just by the one example, and I'm glad that this is the second track of theirs that I've checked out, because it is brilliant. I absolutely love it. And like the second verse, he's like, I'm up here, I'm looking at the way down there, I'm staring through the I don't care, and it's staring back at me. The beauty is I'm learning now how to face my beast, starting now to find some peace, set myself free. So he's sort of like looking back to what he used to be, you know, looking to the point where he's like, I don't care what happens to me. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to drink, I'm going to essentially dwell in self-pity. You know, I don't care what's happening in the world around me, I just want to be, you know, I just want people to leave me alone, sort of thing. And he's sort of looking back at it and sort of taking in the fact that it's like, that wasn't a great way to be. And the beauty is I'm learning how to face my beast. You know, he's learning how to overcome the depression, the urge and the need to drink to just get through the day. Starting out to find some peace and to set myself free. So, you know, he's finally unburdening himself of what is commonly referred to as the black dog. You know, so he can now do all the things he'd always wanted to do but was too scared to do because he was worried of failure, rejection, what have you. Absolutely beautiful song, and very, very deep. Again, I'm impressed by people that can write songs like this, because these are really deep personal problems, and it can be very hard to talk about these sort of things, because you don't want to burden people with your issues. So yeah, very, very good song. Let's carry on.
Sing along, baby, and I need it louder. One today, I don't have to fall apart. I don't have to be afraid. I can't let go. We did breathe, ask for more. If you're bitter still, ask him to help you carry home.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that was giving me chills and goosebumps all the way through, and his voice in that song was phenomenally beautiful. I'm really glad this track was suggested to me, and I can possibly imagine that the way his voice and emotion comes across in this version of the track, in the live version, might be a bit more emotional than it was on the album. I can't be sure. I'll have to give the album version a listen to. But that was an amazing track. Really, really beautiful, and I love tracks like that. Tracks that really make you feel. Excuse me. And there's the last 4 lines of the song. Breathe, ask for more. If you're bitter still, ask him to help you carry on. So it's like, take things slow, just take a deep breath. If you need more help, ask for it. It says ask him to help you carry on. I can only guess that he might be referring to God. Something I don't believe in, but we'll not get into that. But again, ask him to help you carry on. This is a thing that's all too often covered with addictions like this, is people that are in the situation are often too scared to ask for help, or they don't want to ask for help because they don't want to put their burden on someone else. But if you're in a situation where you're relying on alcohol, drugs, or whatever, and you want help, just ask for it. Someone will help. There will always be someone that will help you. And for the people that might be related or friends to this person, the best thing you can do for them is help. It's not an easy thing to talk about, it's not an easy thing to hear, but what they really need is the help, because if they don't have someone to help them, it just makes matters worse for them. They're using all their strength and willpower to fight it on their own, but with the help of a friend or a loved one, it takes it takes some of the burden off them, and it makes things easier, and it makes it more likely that they will succeed, because trying to fight through this sort of thing on your own is very, very hard. I've mentioned in a video or two before that I've struggled with alcohol addiction in the past, and for the most part of that time I didn't have anyone that I could turn to, because I was in a dire situation at the time. But eventually I managed to find help from family. It took a while, but I managed to find it. And whilst I do still drink, I'm not as heavily dependent on it as I used to be. I mean, I used to be really, really bad, and going through it on my own, it was really difficult, because you're sitting there feeling down, feeling depressed, and at the time you're thinking, if I drink, I'll stop thinking, I won't concentrate so much on the bad stuff that's going on. And whilst it may be true, it's a very temporary fix, and then you sort of wake up in the morning and it all happens again, and you sort of end up feeling worse, because you were like, for that one moment you were happy, but then everything's just come suddenly crashing down on you again, and it's very difficult. So I can only really implore that if someone in this situation asks you for help them. Like I say, it's not an easy thing to hear. It's very difficult to see or hear a loved one going through this sort of difficulty, because you're literally watching them destroy themselves. But if they're asking you for help, they want to change, they want to fix it, they want to be, I won't say a better person, because drinking alcohol and drugs doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. It's just a coping mechanism. So yeah, that song really does hit home for me as well, because obviously having been through it myself, I can really relate to it. And it was a beautiful song, beautifully sung, beautiful instrumentation, phenomenal, absolutely loved it. Anyway, I'll leave that as it is. If anybody would like to suggest any other tracks for me to listen to, please do so. By all means, drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on Instagram, and I will certainly try and get round to it. Yeah, so thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
I'm up here, I'm looking at the way